morning, everyone, and welcome to Graniterock's Product Knowledge Seminar. My name is Jackie Serrano, and I will be your host today. For today's seminar, we have a very special guest who is an expert in the world of structural products. We hope you are all as excited and ready to learn as we are. For everyone's information, we will be recording this session to grant replay access to those who are unable to join our live event today. Before we get started, we ask everyone to please keep yourselves muted and camera turned off. The chat is open, so we encourage questions or comments throughout the meeting. If you happen to have a question, please add it to the chat section and we will try to answer them as soon as possible. I will now hand it off to Tom.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Klizowitz. I am with Simpson Strong-Tie, and I work in the commercial division of Simpson Strong-Tie, which for the longest time just dealt with post-installed anchoring, the adhesives and Titan HDs and things like that. I've been with Simpson for 17 years and have done a variety of things for Simpson, and kind of circle back now and part of the structural commercial side of the business, where we deal with structural type situations and the products that we manufacture for those. Jeremiah Coyle, I'll let him introduce himself. I brought him along and invited him because he's going to add another side of information, or another bunch of information for you, and answer questions on the connector side. So go ahead, Jeremiah.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Like Tom said, my name is Jeremiah Coyle. I have been with Simpson 8 years, and I am currently the residential territory manager for Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Monterey, San Bernardino County. So with the scope of work that typically your customers are doing, you guys are doing at Graniterock, Tom on the commercial side is predominantly your point of contact. But from what I understand, from time to time, you do come across situations where you're needing certain types of buckets or typical connectors that aren't traditionally used in commercial. So I'm here to kind of help out. That's kind of my realm that I work in on the residential side. And I think you think kind of think Tom concrete, me wood, and that's kind of how we kind of differentiate Simpson and kind of what we handle and what we're kind of experts in. So I know Simpson has so many products nowadays. It's kind of hard to decipher, but any one of us can help you. Tom is the expert in the concrete, and I am in the wood. So I'm here to help out today with any questions you guys may have on any wood-related connectors or anything like that. So we're always happy to help. Thanks for having us.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeremiah. Go ahead and load that presentation up now. So what we're going to do, it's probably been a while since you guys had a PK meeting or informational type meeting. So I'm going to just cover some things that have come up since 2021, some new products, some replacement products for some of the older ones that we had, and then kind of just go through that. There's going to be some new type of concrete repair material that we're going to go through. And the whole idea here is just to kind of touch the treetops of what we have and what you guys have at your fingertips to help your customers out. We can always go back, like I mentioned to Jackie when we first got on, that if we need to have another one of these types of seminars or meetings, we can do that and do it on specific type of products if that's needed. But what we're going to do is just kind of show you what's been going on, and then tell you a little bit more about what Simpson's doing and how that helps your customers. So go ahead, Jeremiah. So new products for 21, 22. You probably know a lot of these. Some of them are going to be familiar, like our adhesives and our Titan HDs, but there's some new versions that I want to go through, and then where we can use those types of products. And some are going to fit into the scope of your customer's work. Some may not, but that's okay. We want to make sure that we cover the products and you guys know what you have. Go ahead. So just kind of a little screenshot of some of the things that are new. The adhesive anchor for the adhesive anchors, we came out with a newer OptiMesh adhesive screen. That type of product is used in red brick or in concrete block. I'm not going to get into that one so much today because that one deals with one of our adhesives, newer adhesives, Set 3G, and we don't really have any of those available. But that is something that's going to be a newer product. But we're going to talk about the Titan turbos, the Titan HD countersunk screw anchor, the Titan HD stainless steel countersunk screw anchor, and then the washer head screw anchor. And as you can see, there's a lot of different types of Titans that are coming out, and I'll get more into that and why we're able to do that in a second. But then also on the other side, the restoration solutions, we have moved forward, putting together more of a commercial type line of crack injection repair. We had some products in the past that not a large offering, but they were what we would consider or what we do consider a buyout product. Those are products that we buy from a different manufacturer and then market them with our label on it. Well, we decided, which has been a great decision actually, to move into manufacturing our own line of crack injection repair. And we're going to go through these, but you can see there's 5 basic products that make up the line, from the SLV, LV, the Fast Set LV, the LPL, which is a low pot life, and the GV, that are all structural repair products. And when we get to the point and go through these one by one, we'll talk more about it. But this offers you guys options when you're talking to your customers and they have issues with cracks and they need to get them filled. We have a variety of things that we can do that with. The interesting thing about what's going on out here in California, and I just had this conversation yesterday, we haven't had a lot of rain. And when you don't have a lot of rain, a lot of people they may not know that they have cracks, or what the cracks that they do know or they do see, if there's going to be water coming through them. So I truly believe that if Mother Nature decides to cooperate with us this year and we start to get a lot of rain, we're going to be seeing a lot of need come up this winter. So it's a good time to have this and a good time to be introducing this to you guys. Go ahead. So we'll start with the Titan Turbo. The interesting thing about this product, I mean, blue screws have been around for, I just started my 17th year and blue screws were here when I, first got to Simpson. But over the years, Simpson has tried to and come out with different versions of the blue screw. And these can be used in concrete, mostly is where these are going to be used, for a variety of different applications. And these can also be used with the connector line when using them with concrete block, CMU actually. And so they've evolved over the years. But one of the biggest problems, as you can see in that diagram, is when you use these types of screws, a lot of times there's been issues with the head snapping off. Simpson has gone through a couple different versions, like I said, but the Titan Turbo has really helped drive this product forward in a lot of different reasons. Oh, my screen went away. So the innovation torque reduction channel, as you can see in that picture, where that top arrow where torque reduction channel, what that is that the diameter of the shank is we've reduced it and made it a little smaller than the threads, actual threads of the screw itself. This is very similar to the Titan HD, where your shank diameter might be a 1/2 inch, but that threading on the outside is a 1/16 inch oversized, and that's what cuts into the concrete and creates that strength and that holding strength. So this is very similar, but the orange, and just imagine the orange is going to be the dust that represents the dust in the hole. this is the main reason why these types of screws bind up and then the head snaps off. So you can see in the picture on the right at the bottom there, that's where all the dust is collecting. So when you go to set this screw in, it has nowhere to go. And what happens is it gets very tough about halfway down, 3/4 of the way down, and then all of a sudden, bam, the head snaps off. With the torque reduction channel, that simply allows that dust to build up around the threads of the anchor itself and keeps the anchor moving into the concrete. So the serrated threads down at the bottom, very similar to the Titan HD. Those are going to do most of your cutting. And then at the bottom, you see, well, there's concrete dust there, but the majority of that has come up the shank of the Titan Turbo, which is, it allows for smooth driving, a whole lot less torque. And the holding values of these anchors are far superior to the rest of the products that are out there. And it's available in the countersunk and the hex head, just like it's always been, and we have it in different colors. But this is really proven to be a great anchor for us now, because it does what it needs to do for the contractors without having the headache of the head snapping off. But this is why it won't. Go ahead, Jeremiah. So it replaces the Titan and the Titan II. If you remember the original Titans, that's the one there, on the darker version of it, and has the point at the bottom. And you can see the difference between the threading and the shank diameter of this versus the Titan Turbo. The other one, these are the two on the left-hand side. So you have the countersunk head, and then the hex head next to it. That was the Titan Turbo. That was the Titan II. And they developed this to be very similar or just like the Titan HD. And it worked great. It really, at first, it worked great. But what we found with this, even if we gave it a little, we made enough room at the bottom of it like we would normally do with the Titan HDs, we had issues with the head snapping off. So we knew we had to do something different. So that's why we came up with the Titan Turbo, which is to your right. And you can see the difference. It's very similar to the Titan II, but you can see that reduced shank diameter clearly here. And that's what helps house that or helps displace that dust and keeps that product moving in the right direction and able to seat it properly. Go ahead, Jeremiah. Before we go, is there any questions on the Titan Turbo? Okay, so Titan HDs have been around forever. They're one of probably the most versatile anchors that we have in our line. It can do just about anything and anchor just about anything. And I think the smartest thing that Simpson Strong-Tie did is they made an anchor where we can adjust it for the needs in the industry and adjust it to what our contractors need. So the original style of the Titan HD, it has a hex head on top. You drive it down, done. A lot of use in the residential market is going to be your sill plates. If you miss an anchor these days, you can't necessarily use an epoxy to put a new threaded rod in, but you can use a Titan. So from that, we've decided, well, what about this and what about that? What about these applications? So now this is a countersunk head, and you can see in that picture just what this anchor is designed to do. For applications that require a flush mount profile. Well, that could be for reasons of a tripping hazard or anything like that, but they want that to be countersunk. These can be used in a lot of different arenas, anywhere like door flashings, windows, things like that, where they want the strength of a Titan HD, but they can't have it sticking out or sticking up because it's not going to allow the window, the door, or whatever the case may be, function properly. We did a lot of things with the hex head and the the hex head type driver where you use a socket. This has a six lobe drive head, which makes it really easy to work with. It is available in the standard lengths, 3/4, 3/8, a quarter, and 3/8 diameters at this point in time. And then when the guys get it, of course, the nice thing is that the driver bit comes in a box. But we're able to do this and keep that type of Titan HD technology available to the customers. Go ahead. We also have it in stainless steel. Now, this isn't only to the countersunk style, head style. We have Titan HDs in the 316 style in all versions. And we did that because, a lot of fencing companies and other type of companies that do a lot of outdoor work, railings, like you can see here, outdoor type of exposure. We had the mechanically galvanized version, but that was only allowed to be used in a temporary situation. So we moved ahead with the Titan HD stainless steel. And basically what I want to point out here is you see the bottom of that anchor where that discoloration is. So that kind of looks like rust, but that's not rust. The thing with the Titan HD and being able to cut the way it does, when we came out with the stainless steel, it needed to be able to cut and to have the holding power and values like the standard Titan HD. Well, we're able to do that with this because those bottom threads where you see there, those teeth will cut. That is a ring that they braze onto the Titan itself, and those 3 threads there are made of carbon steel. So that's going to do the cutting because stainless steel is soft. So it's not going to be able to do the cutting that we need. So we had to do something with carbon steel. Those are sacrificial, and those will eventually, over time, those will rust away, but they're designed just to get the anchor cut into the concrete. The bottom line to this is that if there is any rust that happens on this anchor, it'll be with those carbon rings, and it's less than 1% of the overall steel on that anchor. So you're looking at basically a 99% 316 stainless steel anchor when it comes to performance. So go ahead. We also came out with the washer head style. This is an interesting one because I don't know if we see a lot of this in the States. We see it a lot in Canada. But if you need a minimal head profile, it needs to be flat. This is the type of anchor that you can use. You can use it on sill plate applications. Wall floor systems can be installed on top of it. And that's where probably the biggest key is that where a plate or something that needs to go on top of the area that has been specified to use an anchor like this, we can do that without a problem, and it's not going to create any issues. And it is available in various lengths, standard lengths, 1/2 and 5/8 inch diameter type anchors. But like I said, we don't run into too much of it. Go back one, Jeremiah. We don't run into it too much, but it's there. So the last thing I'll say about the Titans, these are all cracked concrete approved, and cracked concrete, to not get too deep into the weeds with it, the cracked concrete is the ability, when an anchor is tested for that, it's the ability to maintain your strength even if a crack has occurred in a seismic event or an earthquake, and it happens to intersect that anchor and go right through it. So when we do our testing, we actually crack concrete and then put these anchors in and then move the concrete manually or with hydraulic presses. And then we pull test these and we apply tension to them to see how they're going to hold. These anchors do very well in those types of tests. And so the body of the anchor itself is what's tested. The head can be anything that we want it to be. And that makes that Titan HD very versatile, because as you can see, all these different style heads now are coming out, but the body of the Titan is basic and remains the same. So that's why it's one of the most versatile type of mechanical type anchors out there, which means that threading is mechanically cuts into the concrete. So any questions on the Titan HDs? Okay. So I mentioned earlier, we came out with a new version of our own crack repair products and CI, which is basically this what we're calling a crack injection, is what that stands for. Simpson's very big on these types of cutting the words down. If I can't think of the word right now, but acronyms. So this is what the line looks like. We have it in 32-ounce cartridges, as you can see there, and we have it in 3-gallon containers. So if a customer does a lot of this, if one of your customers do a lot of this type of work, and they happen to have a pump that they would use, they could use the 3-gallon. Otherwise, they can go ahead and use the 32-ounce cartridge. Go ahead. So the first one is the super low viscosity. And basically what that means, I want you to kind of think about water. And when we talk about viscosity, and they also call it centipoise, but water is zero. And so when we look at these types of products, we want them to be able to fix very, very fine cracks like you see in garages, or you see on even sidewalks, or just any type of concrete, and you look down, you see a lot of cracking. Well, concrete cracks, unfortunately, but these types of products can repair that and structurally glue the concrete together again. But sometimes the cracks are really small. So we have this super low viscosity where your viscosity level is somewhere in the area of 300 to 500, depending on the heat or how hot it is outside. So we're able to remember, water's zero, and this is 3 to 500 or even lower depending on the heat. So this is really going to flow out really, really nice, really quick. If you poured like mineral oil or something onto the concrete, it would just flow out very, very quick. Well, that's what this is like. And this can be used to do a lot of different types of work. Like I told you, small cracks, fine cracks. But then if there's an area where there's a bunch of cracking, it can be used also as what's called a flood coat, where they would take the 3-gallon containers, dump them out, mix them up, and then pour them on the concrete and just squeegee them into the cracks. So this is a very versatile product for us. It is structural, and it allows that type of work to be able to get to that finer type cracks that need to be fixed. Go ahead. Just the next one now, this is just an LV. This is low viscosity, and this is very much like a vegetable oil. So when you look at the consistency of that, that's the way this will flow. A little bit thicker, a little bit, it does work in multiple types of cracks, but it'll also work as well. It also work as a flood coat. The interesting thing about this product is that it's NSF ANCI standard 61 approved. Well, what that means is that if there's any application where water is going to be, where it might hit water or potable water, this will not affect, it will not affect the water at all. So that's a big deal when you're working on a slab or working in an environment where there might be a creek close by, or water comes through the area, or the groundwater itself isn't very deep, running underground. they can use this product, and if it happens to migrate down to the dirt, which sometimes cracks will go all the way through a slab, that's okay. It's tested and approved for that NSF 61 standard 61 approval. But again, these products will chemically bond the concrete together, and they're also it states here they're moisture tolerant. So it is a great product, and it can be used both in damp and dry applications. Go ahead. This is just, it's the low viscosity like we just discussed, but if it gets cold, a lot of times epoxies don't want to play when it gets cold. They will sit there and they will take a very long time to cure. So we have this option when it starts to get colder, like we're getting into, where you can use this and have this perform just like the low viscosity does, but it at like a 70-degree mark, where this will do it at a much lower temperature and still cure at the same time. One of the main things, or one of the most important things, let me rephrase that. One of the most expensive things on a job site is labor. So when guys have to wait and to do a project, or they have to wait till it warms up, or they have to heat the concrete up to do these types of applications to fix these types of cracks, that takes time. So having a product that's a faster set is a real benefit to the system and to the customer. Go ahead. So, and on the flip side, this is long, LPL is a long pot life. So it's going to give us the opportunity to use this at higher temperatures. So you can see in the second bullet point there that it's suitable for temperatures between 60 and 110. So out here in the valley, I'm out in Discovery Bay. It gets a little toasty out here, and it certainly did this summer. But still, up to 110, there is a limit. But it does allow a customer or a contractor the flexibility to say, okay, it's 80 degrees and it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's getting a little bit too hot. We still have some room to go ahead and get this done before it gets too hot in the afternoon. 9 times out of 10, it gets to that 110 point plus. These guys are finishing their work and headed out anyways. But that's the nice thing about this product. And it gives that versatility to help slow the product down so they can get the job done. Go ahead. And then this is the GV. This is just like your epoxy, your regular like doweling epoxy. It's not going to sag. You put it on a wall, horizontal crack ceiling. You can actually inject this product even though it's thick. And all these products can be pressure injected through ports. It doesn't have to be just like on a slab. You can dispense it over the crack and have it soak down and fill up, and that's called a gravity feed type application. But you can seal the crack over, put ports on, injection ports, and then pressure inject this into the wall or slab or whatever crack you're trying to fix. But this is a little thicker, so you can do a little bit more with this in the sense of fixing larger openings and larger cracks that you can get to and fill up without having to use a port. So, and it can also be used as a pick-proof sealant. That's a big deal. When you lay down a sealant to seal anything that you're looking to do, you don't want it to be able to be kicked if someone hits it or things like that. You can't dislodge it from that crack. It'll stay put and keep the crack sealed. We can fill up to a 1/4 of an inch crack with these epoxies, and the reason being is that 2-part epoxies, when they're mixed, they get very hot. So if we go above that, there's a few things that we have to do. One of them is we have to add some sand to it. And any epoxy that you want to slow down a little bit, you can add sand to it. But if it goes above 1/4 of an inch, then we start looking into possibly a repair mortar in that sense, or even a grout, one of the two. But yeah, that 1/4 inch is where we stop at, and I think that's pretty much an industry standard for that. Good question. Okay, go ahead. So now we're going to get into the epoxies that have really evolved over the years. The first one, and I'm using this kind of as the phase out screen to kind of go off of this. The AT that we had for so many years is our acrylic tie. Methyl methacrylate is what they call it. AT is easier. But this is a product that is a cold weather product, and that product has moved over to ATXP. One of the major differences between the two is ATXP does not smell. AT had a very, very, I don't know how you put it, it smelled bad. And so we reformulated it and moved it over to ATXP. ATXP can be used down to 14 degrees, but because it can be used in that cold of a temperature, you got to be careful when you use it in hotter temperatures because it'll cure very fast. You can, and then hold on. So this will fully cure at 14 degrees in an hour. Okay. The other epoxies that we have will fully cure at 70 degrees. Well, let me take that back. It'll cure at 14 degrees in 24 hours, and the epoxies cure at 24 hours at 70 degrees. So that's the difference between the two. So the weather we have out right now is still good for epoxies, but as we get colder, this would be the offering that you'd want to give your customers to go with the ATXP, because that's a structural product and it's going to cure in a reasonable time for them to keep the project moving. Go ahead. And you remember set adhesive? Set adhesive went away a long time ago. I love set adhesive because it did everything that we want to do, every substrate possible. Now we went to set XP and now 3G. And the differences between the two, set XP is a structural product like set 3G is, but set XP can be used on concrete and it can also be used in CMU, in concrete block. We have that in our code listing. We also have it in our catalog. If you look through it, you'll see little icons that show where these particular products can be used. The curing time is very similar between the two, so there's not much difference there. The set 3G is standard. It's mostly just concrete, and this is the product that we will see specified, or your contractors will see specified, if it's overhead applications. For the most part, it's a little bit more grainy, it's a little bit heavier set, so it holds in the hole better. But this is a stronger product than the set XP. But we are doing testing with set 3G on concrete block as well. So these two will be very similar down the road, but we still see a lot of specifications for set XP. Now, set XP will go down to 50 degrees, and then it just stops. It just slows down. Set 3G will go down to 40 degrees, but I have to tell you, if it gets that cold, set 3G is going to take about 192 hours to cure. And I can imagine what all of your faces look like right now. And because, yeah, it takes a while to cure. But at that 40 degrees, that's where you want to offer your customers that ATXP. That'll be a better product for you. But for right now outside, set 3G and set XP are going to work great. Their normally cure times are at 70 degrees, 24 hours. Set XP has got that green color to it. Set 3G is a standard gray that'll pretty much match the concrete when you use it. 22 ounce cartridges, same guns. same everything. But that's the major differences between the two. There's a little bit difference with cure time at colder temperatures, how far they can go down in colder temperatures. But other than that, you'll see both of these on a set of plans, and it matches all the other competitors out there as well, strength-wise, if not stronger, in a handful of the rebar and threaded rod sizes and diameters. So great products, and you'll see them specified on the plans. So we can go after just about anything you guys need to go after competition-wise. Okay, go ahead. Keep going. One more. So this is software. Simpson is big on software and doing a lot of things to help customers out. This is our adhesive cartridge estimator. And you guys can download this. A contractor can download this. I actually have it on my phone. And you can see it gives you like the condition, the inserts, and it goes through a whole series of questions, not a whole series of questions, but there's about 5 or 6 different questions that it'll ask you. And then what it'll do is it'll calculate that, and you can see on the job tally there, you can see what'll come out. It'll tell you how many, and especially, well, it'll tell you how many cartridges you need to get the job done. The nice thing, go to the next slide, Jeremiah. I think it shows a little bit better. Oh, maybe not. So like with the crack injection repair, that's what it looks like if you seal the crack and you put ports on. What's great about the estimator, the ACE, is that it'll give you quantities for the whole system. So Simpson's really big on going in and selling a system. So you need this part, you need this part, you need this part to get it done. So when your customer uses this, or you want to help them out and walk them through it, you'll be able to tell them how many ports they need, how much paste over they need, and how much crack injection material they need. And it's quick. It is so easy to use, but it does take the place of these old cards that we used to have years ago, which if anybody still has one, they're absolute gold because they work so well. But this is very user-friendly. But we have so many different software packages like this out there that will help your contractors if they wanted to use them, or help you guys answer questions for your contractors. So it's a really helpful thing. But you can go to our website and download this for you guys to use. Go ahead. Go ahead. So real quick, we kind of mentioned it a little bit. Simpson's kind of switched gears a little bit with what we go after and how we spend our day and what we're focused on. And we switched. So you look at this, and when we talk about the market, we talk about market segments now. So this is just for your information. Light frame construction, retrofit and repair, water, wastewater, bridge and marine, manufacturing, and cold form steel. These are the focus for where we're headed, like in a commercial side. But it's a lot of this also involves the residential side as well, because we go hand in glove with a lot of these types of projects. So you'll see these icons on our website. This is what we're focused on, and this is where, if you have any contractors that are doing anything in these areas, we can help them out. You guys can help them out, and we have the products to do that. And so we're really kind of re-educating people on Simpson Strong-Tie, because the old Simpson has definitely come up to the new age, and we're really going after and focusing on what we can do to help those contractors out, which in turns helps you help them out even better. So go ahead. So on supplementary topics for anchors themselves, we could go into like the deeper dive, like I talked about, corrosion, base materials. We can go into failure modes, corrosion resistant products, and a deeper dive on mechanical anchors and adhesive anchors anytime you guys want. All this information is online, plus a lot of training modules that you can get your hands on to go through, that we all have to go through ourselves, and we make them available to you guys to look at, to get educated on, so you can have better conversations and with your contractors. But we are available at any time to do job site calls or anything like that. We also have a series of trainings that we can do to make contractors a trained installer. Powder actuated, we can do crack injection, we can do adhesive trainings now. And so a lot more emphasis has been put on those types of trainings by the engineers when they specify products. So we're able to fulfill that need for your contractors if need be. Go ahead. Any questions? And so Jeremiah, like I said, Jeremiah is here for and he covers that residential side. If there's any questions that you guys may have for him on any connector related products, go ahead and shout them out.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions out there?
Well, in our contact information, we can get that out to you. And anytime you guys need anything, give us a call. We can stop by the stores. And there's a few questions. You want some information on wood connection?
So we have a question. How big a crack can this fill?
Oh, yeah, I answered that a little earlier, but I'll answer it again.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest crack that we can go to is 1/4 of an inch, which is really an industry standard. And that's simply because the product itself, being an epoxy, in mass gets too hot if you go bigger than that 1/4 of an inch. There's some things we can do to slow the product down to be used in those applications, but that's where we might decide to go with like a vertical or overhead repair mortar.
And then
Looks like Keith asked a question about wood connections. Anything in particular about wood connections in itself, or?
No, not really. Just a high overview, if you would, of what's most popular. What do we go through quite a bit? What are maybe some of the most popular, or not popular, but frequent challenges that are experienced? Things like
that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a really broad range. I don't know. Do you know much about kind of what they're purchasing or what their customers are purchasing, Tom, through Graniterock, or maybe you can add some light to that? But as far as it comes to what's particular products, I would imagine maybe some of the more hangers are more common. Is that right? Or because when it comes to wood,
anybody from the field, if Mark or any of you guys that have some experience out there, any common pitfalls or challenges, or any common solutions that we might come up against?
Or simply, what have you run into where you needed a connector or a bracket or something like that to attach some of the material that you guys sell?
I mean, yeah, when we're talking wood connections, we have a lot of different new connectors. We're always coming with new different connectors. We even have a lot of different fasteners now when you're doing multiply stuff. So it's really kind of stretches the whole kind of a big net to capture a lot of those different types of wood connections. So, if you have a little more specifics specifically on what type of wood connections, is it, connections to concrete or CMU? Is it wood to wood connections? Is it just typical light framing connections that you guys are seeing a lot of? We have different solutions and sometimes even multiple solutions for any one application, right? When you start getting into value engineered stuff. So, kind of just a broad range question. I don't really know how to answer that, but if you guys have specific situations or common applications you're seeing a lot of, we're more than helping to help out. We can even do, another presentation specifically on wood So yeah, that's typically, the wood, it's really broad, so it's kind of hard to answer. Are there any new seismic laws coming for 2023? Not that I'm aware of. Maybe you can speak a little bit on the building codes, Tom, or what you're aware of. I don't know what cycle we're on.
Yeah, not that we've heard of either. I think what comes up for us mostly is we'll take a product and test it to the current code. The only thing that we've heard about anything seismic is going to be, larger crack situations. They're doing that over in Europe, but whether that's going to come over here anytime soon, I haven't heard of anything. But as for code changes and things like that, I could check with our engineering department and see if they've heard anything from the engineering community, but we haven't heard anything major changes in 2023.
I think the last cycle, I could be mistaken, was 21, and it's every 3-year cycle. So
it's coming up.
Yeah, but not next year, as far as I know. But we can double check too.
But I'll ask, and then we can put the information out.
Thank you. Any other questions out there? So I think that concludes today's presentation. Thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your participation and hope it was of your liking. We also hope to see you all here Tuesday, October 18th to further expand your knowledge on Quikrete. Our guest speaker will be Dave Ford, same time as today, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Once again, I would like to thank Tom and
Jeremiah.
And Jeremiah, there you go. Sorry.
Okay.
To share your knowledge with us today. That concludes today's product knowledge seminar. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.